Hello, hello. How is everyone feeling? I have been sick for the past week or so since the Sagittarius full moon. But yeah, there's just been so much converging, so many energies converging right now, and I mean, I had to honor my body. Like, I really had no other choice except to rest. I mean, you can maybe hear it a little bit in my voice still that I'm slightly congested, but yeah, definitely on the mend now. So I wanted to mention a couple things about this Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Cancer that is happening on Tuesday, June 9th, around 12:58 in the afternoon, Pacific Standard Time. But also, like the Sagittarius full moon, which, I mean, everything is in preparation for the next aspect or transit or energy energetic event. So, like right before the Sagittarius full moon, I attended my friend Leslie Tagorda's event at Just Be in the East Bay, which was awesome. And community, it's such an important piece of this entire Jupiter in Cancer era that we're in. And we have until the end of the month before Jupiter leaves Cancer and moves into Leo, but we'll still have Cancer season, which is in July. Venus will still be well, Venus will be moving into Leo on the 13th, actually, so this Saturday, but Mercury will be in Cancer for a few months because it will be retrograde, and then it'll take a while to backtrack over the shadow degrees of Cancer. So we'll have a lot of Cancer energy about community and finding your soul family, or attracting your soul family, and just like being courageous enough to say yes to the connection and foster and cultivate it and be cringe and be, you know, emotional and connect on that level. And so Leslie's presentation included a quote that I really liked, which is, "He who does not know his origins will not reach his destination," which is an Ilocano proverb of Filipinos. And I just thought it was so appropriate for this time. And I mean, we can think about our origins as cultural, you know, who our tribe is, our family, our lineage, but even on a more broader macro scale is our star families, our soul families, the constellations. We all are made up of stardust, and so our origins really come from the planets and the stars and the galaxies. And actually, there's another quote that comes to mind that I saved from, oh gosh, she is, I mean, this is just kind of off the cuff now, but she has a YouTube episode with Pam Gregory from like last year talking about Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces and Sedna in Gemini. And it's still very relevant even if it was from last year, because she's talking about so many other things that have to do with water and the salts and the salt in the water. And so that quote, this is connected to how we're kind of like in this transition phase of our identities that may still be attached to systems that are crumbling as we speak. And it's hard to really step into this new identity because we've been so used to or programmed or conditioned to be this certain way that was, part of this system, kind of like being a cog in a wheel. And now that those systems, those wheels are shaky, they're crumbling, they're not sustainable, those identities are being released, and a lot of us are trying to figure out what that new identity is. But yeah, so this quote speaks to that on a lot of different levels, and this one is by so this is a message from the ancients during an interview with Hopi elder Vernon Masayesva, MasaYesva, and he says, "We are not separated, we are connected to every living thing, not just here on the planet, earthly planet, but down at the bottom of the oceans and the upper world, the cosmos, sea, home of the cloud people. That's where you go when your physical body dies here on earth, and the liquid inside your body evaporates and it ascends to the cloud people. And there we rest, and we come back as rain, as snow, bringing water to nature. We replenish the lakes, the aquifers. We're on our journey back home to the sea. Water is one element that's indestructible. It cannot be destroyed. It is a living spirit. It is our connection to the Creator, the Great Spirit." So yeah, that one just came to mind. I had that saved for a while, and I still feel like it is more relevant now with all of this water energy with Jupiter and Venus and Jupiter and Cancer, and the North Node about to finish its cycle in Pisces. But I wanted to mention the Sagittarius full moon. I know it's been about a week. It was May 29th? And May 31st was the full moon, because the day before I had a past life regression session, or a quantum healing hypnosis therapy session, QHHT, and it was very revealing. It was about 4 hours long, and it brought up all of these ancestral revelations, and the practitioner, Melina, she was able to access my higher self and speak with her and, guide me through these questions to get some answers and, clarity about so many confusing or so many inconsistencies with what's been passed down through my lineage. And yet the clarity that's come up is so powerful, and it's like this tool that I have now that'll help me navigate my path and help me navigate my relationships with my mom and my family. And it's totally on time with Mercury moving into Cancer, and Mercury being the planet of communication, and Cancer being all about family and emotions, having those opportunities to talk about the past and our family and how we feel, how we felt, and just all of these things coming up for review, so that we can finally just drop the heavy, unproductive emotions and process it, processing it through storytelling. And that's also in line with Gemini season. It's, June 7th, June 8th, and we're in the middle of Gemini season, which is all about connecting and storytelling and reconnecting and finding different perspectives. And so that's all unfolding now. And the Sagittarius full moon was aligned to the fixed star Antares, which is also a royal star, a Bahamian royal star, which is like the heart of the Scorpion constellation. And it was all in a trine to Saturn and Aries, and so the moon in Sagittarius was in a flow with Saturn and Aries, which allowed for measured steps, which was really directing us, guiding us to create some space, create some silence, so that we could refrain from action, pause, and think about the next steps, so that we can reflect on old identities that want to detach from the old systems, from the crumbling systems, and allow the new unknown identities to emerge. And then when we look at the ruler of Aries, which is Mars, Mars is in Taurus, which is really bringing things to our somatic awareness. And right after the hypnosis session the next day, I was doing okay for most of the day, going to the farmer's market and whatnot, and then at night I was just like sneezing my head off and came down with this like wicked cold or flu. I mean, I was knocked out pretty much the entire day the next day, so all of this rest was required. Like, I had no other choice. I mean, I could barely do anything, and with that on top of the solar flares that have been happening and the longer void of course moons that is like completely like energy that's suspended in the air, where you can't really connect to or ground any sort of motivation. Like, there's a complete lack of motivation and you just don't want to do anything. And that was the entire last week, until like Thursday, Friday, I was starting to get my energy back. But yeah, all of this somatic awareness is why we've been so exhausted, and our bodies are not used to it. We're actually, a lot of us are choosing not to numb the pain. We're actually feeling the feels and paying attention to all of these converging things that are happening in our personal life and what is energetically happening in the skies and collectively, on the world stage. Like, it's undeniable the kind of energy that is being projected, and the awareness that is being raised right now is also causing the collective to take certain steps to be a lot more discerning and not just fall into the same autopilot kind of operation that we've been so used to the past so many generations. But along with that, the full moon was in a T-square or crossroads formation with the nodes of fate, the North Node and South Node in Pisces and Virgo. So that's really kind of testing how or what direction we are comfortable with going into, like falling back into the same old patterns of, producing, working. Virgo is connected to like constant work and less, consistent work where you're just nonstop going like a machine, or moving more towards the Pisces North Node, where our energy levels are priority and resting is priority, and our dreams and the unknown and our intuition becomes a lot more significant, because we're starting to learn to trust the unknown, trust our intuition. Like, there's this knowing that we are starting to embrace, because we're remembering who we are. Like, there's a lot of other co-occurring conversations with goddess asteroids that are happening, that are also awakening us on a certain level that helps us regain our power, our self-worth, our ability to connect with one another and know that we can trust one another and support one another on so many levels. So that choice point is going to be happening again with Uranus at that midpoint between the North and South Node. Uranus in Gemini, I think, is going to reach 2 degrees, 2 degrees Gemini, and the nodes are at 2 degrees. And Uranus is in the sign, it's in Gemini, and it's in the sign of the North Node of Uranus. So the Pisces North Node and the Virgo South Node, those are the nodes of the moon. And the North Node is our destiny point, the direction that we're moving toward to kind of balance out the South Node, which is, can bring up the shadow sides of that South Node sign, which is in Virgo, collectively. And we kind of integrate back and forth between the two signs. And for Uranus, the North Node is Gemini and the South Node is Sagittarius. And so Uranus is in its own North Node sign. The North Node right now, I think, is at 15 degrees Gemini. And so these are events and energies that are meant to take place for us to break free from this stagnation, from these old systems. And when Uranus is at a T-square to the North and South Node, that's going to be sudden decisions being made, sudden events that, I feel like it's going to be more of a integration of both the North Node and South Node of Pisces and Virgo, because it'll be a dismantling of what needs to go and the revealing of what needs to happen. That's how I kind of see Uranus being that dismantler, awakener, and disruptor. And with it squaring the nodes, it's really going to help us see who or what, where we want to go. And it could be disruptive, as Uranus does, but that is how we evolve, and that is the universe's calling right now. And part of the processing, journaling, writing it out, allowing your story to be shared in one way or another, and that's part of the Gemini season invitation, as well as connecting with other people to help with the healing journey. Like the Just Be community, we're a group of women, BIPOC entrepreneurs, and we're all supporting each other. And part of that process is telling our story, how we fell into this passion that that we are in. And a lot of us, we're not all astrologers. We're definitely part of a kind of like a deeper service where we're offering these skills and services to help one another introspect and learn more about ourselves and support one another. Yeah, the community aspect of things are very at the forefront right now, and it's aligned with the Venus-Jupiter conjunction, because Venus is all about what we attract, who we are drawn to, and relationships, also values, money, opportunities, blessings. And Jupiter, which is exalted in Cancer, is all about ancestral wisdom and expanding these connections, expanding the community, and expanding just that sharing is caring kind of energy. And The fact that Mercury is in Cancer, again, is like this opportunity for us to connect with one another. And the moon is, the ruler of Cancer, and as the moon travels through the zodiac, it takes about 2.5 days to move through each sign. Right now it's in the sign of Pisces, and so it's making this nice flowing aspect. They're both water signs right now, and we can be intuitively connecting to people who we feel a resonance with. And then the exact conjunction of Venus, Jupiter, and Cancer happens on the 9th, which is Tuesday. And they conjunct at 25 degrees, which is an Aries degree. Because if you go around the zodiac enough times, 1 through 12, you go from Aries to Pisces. Then if you start over again, 13 is Aries also, and then go around again, and then 25 is also Aries. And so this is happening on Tuesday, which is a Marsday, which Mars rules Aries, and the moon will be in Aries on the 9th. And so this kind of energy is, it can be romantic, it can be, very sweet and nurturing, but also at the same time, with all of these Aries signatures, there's a call to be brave and courageous about who you're connecting to, and, shooting your shot, or, sending the invitation, making that connection, and also saying no to those opportunities or invitations that are not aligned, or, making room for relationships that are aligned to grow and expand. Not very many people talk about how Venus is also, and Jupiter actually, they both have that element of like pushing people out, especially in the sign of Cancer. Cancer can be kind of, holding on to people who are close to them, like they're traditionally like the bloodline, keeping the bloodline pure or whatnot. You choose one thing, which means you don't choose another. And then Jupiter expands, but can also expand other things out of your field. So there's kind of like that contrast to the Venus-Jupiter conjunction. And so with all of this Aries energy, it's, that invitation to be brave and let go, release, burn away anything that is not going to come with you in the next iteration of your identity. Like I think his Instagram and Substack handle is L10. Talks about letting the old identity die. This is a continuation of 2025. Endings, these completions are wrapping up, and with this Venus-Jupiter conjunction, with the Aries energies, letting these identities die, this is kind of like tilling the soil still so that the new growth can have a place to emerge. So it still can be emotional, it can also be very beautiful and have, give the tendency of overindulgence at the same time. So there is that aspect, especially in the sign of Cancer, being connected to food. But on the emotional, relational level, it's who we choose, what we choose, and also who we are and what we are not choosing, and what we are choosing to release and let go of. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. Hopefully that made sense. And with the new moon coming up in Gemini on the 14th, that's going to be at 24 degrees as well. So a lot of these new moon degrees and like the conjunction with Venus and Jupiter, they're in the last decan, so the last 10 degrees of the sign. So, this one's at 24 degrees, The Venus and Jupiter conjunction is at 25 degrees. And so these are energies that are closing up, that, you know, that want to complete. And Chiron is at 29 degrees, getting ready to move into Taurus for the next few months before it retrogrades back into Aries for another little while. So we are at these completion degrees. And that was another energetic convergence that I am experiencing. And, you know, the Chiron return is all about healing those emotional wounds of insecurity. And in the sign of Aries, it's like having to do with your basic existence, like deserving or not deserving to be here, you know, like thinking maybe as a child, I should have never been born, kind of mentality with Chiron and Aries. Abandonment, you know, that definitely came up during the past life regression. So stories of abandonment coming up, and how that is playing out in present day, and how the patterns of those stories are or can be reconfigured so that it doesn't repeat in other areas of our life. So yeah, that Chiron return is something that happens to us all around the age of 49 to 51. And it can be easy to distract ourselves with anything. I mean, it could be distracting ourselves with work, or, you know, alcohol, or, you know, getting lost in movies even. But the universe, I feel like, will always find ways to insert some sort of synchronicity where it'll trigger those memories and have you reflect in some way. Like the quantum healing hypnosis session was very synchronistic, the way the opportunity arose. Another friend of mine recommended Milena to me, who is in the process of her QHHT certification, and so that, you know, she needed a student to help her complete her requirements, and her availability fell on the same day that my Chiron return was happening, nearly to the minute, like 1 minute off of exactitude. So yeah, universe, I mean, that's just another example of how astrology works. So the Chiron return, Scorpio, my secondary progress Scorpio moon, which is all about excavation and going deep to those places that have not been exposed or explored emotionally, especially. Also at the later degrees of the sign, so I think right now it's at 26 or 27 degrees Scorpio in my 8th house, secondary progress chart. And Saturn in Aries is squaring my ascendant, so it's, and then Pluto's squaring my IC and MC, my IC in midheaven. So yeah, that's a lot of energy to navigate. But with the new moon in Gemini, at 24 degrees on the 14th, at 7:53 p.m., that can be new beginnings in telling our story, you know, like, and connecting with others to reflect back and kind of bounce concepts back, and, you know, just kind of getting it out in the open, so that it's not, you know, we're not harboring this resentment, or, you know, whatever it might be. We can, like, let it out, talk about it in ways that are lighthearted, and we can gain new perspectives about those past events, those, whatever traumas that might have occurred that are, on their last leg. This is going to be right before Jupiter moves into Leo, right before the nodes shift into Aquarius and Leo. So even more energetic shifts are happening. And the next day after the new moon, Venus will trine Neptune in fire signs. So Venus will be in Leo, Neptune in Aries, which can be, that flowing understanding and creativity and intuition, and letting those old stories dissolve, burn away. Hopefully that was helpful. That's a beautiful energy of Venus and Jupiter, and Venus-ruled signs, Taurus and Libra, and Jupiter-ruled signs, Sagittarius and Pisces, can definitely feel these, along with, of course, Cancer and Capricorn, which is the opposite of Cancer, Scorpio, which is another water sign. I mean, I feel like everyone's going to either witness this or feel this on some level, especially if you have planets or points at around 25 degrees. So, yeah, between 23 and 27, 28 degrees. Be open to opportunities and conversations and relationships, and, send the text and be cringe, like, what have we got to lose? We can be pleasantly surprised, especially with Uranus in Gemini, which is all about communication, squaring the nose. Like, trust the unknown. Trust the unknown, which is North Node in Pisces. Let go of any overanalysis, overthinking. And yeah, it'd be even that much more yummy, beautiful, delicious to be near a body of water these next few days while Venus and Jupiter are in Cancer, and especially while the moon is in Pisces. Yeah, the moon will be in Pisces until June 9th, 1:33 a.m. And then we have a void of course moon between 5:38 Monday, so tomorrow, and 1:33. So it's about an 8-hour void of course moon, which thankfully it's in the evening, and we're all pretty much winding down from the day. But yeah, the void of course moons are definitely invitations to just kind of, if you have the energy, doing something creative that doesn't require a lot of high expectation. Otherwise, just like resting or journaling and like just being with yourself. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, and thank you for sticking around. We're all navigating these energies the best we can, so thank you for your grace and patience, and I hope to see you on the next one. Till next time, and let me know if there's curiosity in taking a look at how these energies are affecting you personally, because there are a lot of shifts happening, and to be aware of what the cosmic weather is like is so powerful. Like, it blows my mind how people are navigating the world without this kind of awareness. So it's definitely kind of like a power move, like you have this knowledge that helps you navigate life with a lot more ease and joy. So yeah, I hope to hear from you, and look forward to speaking with you, hearing you, seeing you on the next one. Ciao for now.